with a Business is brought to you by Audible.com.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Married with a Business. I'm Craig.
And I'm Allison.
And we're married with a business. We're here to talk about tips, tricks, stories about what it's like for us as a married couple to own and operate a business together, which we have now done, Allison, for 22 years?
22 years last week.
Wow.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I know. That's crazy. I'm
yeah.
glad you still like me.
Most days.
Most days.
Listen, I always love you. Sometimes I don't like you.
22 years. I like when people split it out and we can say we have over 40. Well, with you, because you ran the business 2 years before I even got in, we have over 45 years of experience.
Yeah, that's,
running business.
I don't like that. I don't like that. But what have you been up to?
I'm very okay. Let me just preface all of this.
I am also excited. Don't get me wrong.
Let me just preface all of this by saying we are not amusement park people. We are not. We have never taken,
to the horror of many of you right now.
Yes, we are not amusement park people. We've taken our kids to a couple smaller amusement parks, like we did Sesame Place when they were like babies. But we don't take our kids to amusement parks.
No, well, our oldest doesn't like rides.
No, that you say that. I think he likes rides. I'm just saying.
I am traumatized from taking him to Idlewild in Pennsylvania and having him scream.
And how old was he? Like 3.
He was 3.
Yeah. Okay. So anyways, our now 13-year-old and 11-year-old. So we don't do amusement parks. Well, we have decided that, and this was your idea. You're more anti-amusement park than me.
It's time.
We have decided in April, coming up, we are going to take our boys to a 1-week vacation to Disney World.
I know most of you are like, obviously, but no, this is huge.
This is big.
This is huge.
This is very big for us.
And we let them know on Christmas.
Yes, so we gave it to them as a Christmas gift. They flipped out.
We did a little seek and find. They had to find the box with the surprise announcement.
Yeah, a little scavenger hunt. So, what I've been trying, and this is where Allison is different. Like, she is a researcher. She loves information, but it has to be more business related.
I'm just shutting down every time you people talk.
Yes. So, like, she doesn't understand that going to Disney is like, you have to, like, this has to be
it's
researched
a business
and planned. I mean, I'm putting more work into that than I do my regular job some days.
Well, that's not good. But I also am reminding people of the 2 times I went to Disney. I did not have fabulous experiences, not for anything about Disney. I just had medical issues. So, like, there is some sort of weird wiring in my brain that, like, I get that fight or flight mentality. Yeah. And so, thank goodness you have one of our friends is doing the planning, and she's just telling me where to write checks. So I'm fine with that.
Love her. She's a crazy Disney person.
She's not. Okay, yeah. She's a enthusiastic Disney person.
Yes.
And I love her. And I appreciate the effort and the amount of work that goes into a successful Disney trip, because it is very much like running a business.
Yeah,
I don't have the capacity for it. So.
She will send me a text and ask me a question, and I don't even know the words in the text. She's like, magic band, lightning plus lane. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
A lot of YouTube. It's been a lot of YouTube.
A lot of YouTube. But so we're planning this Disney trip. I'm starting to get very excited about it. The kids are very, very excited about it.
I am excited. This is my excited face. I am cautiously optimistic that this will go smoothly.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot of us dragging you around the park, which is nice. I think you've given into the fact that it is going to be...
I will have fun when we get there. The anxiety about people and dinners and waiting in line for 3 hours. Like, you could spend all this money and never got on the ride you want to go to.
Never get on the ride. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
See, this is where the anxiety comes from, people. Like, this is where it comes from. This is you, like, getting worked up about it.
Anyway, now you all know way more about Allison than you needed to, because we are going to talk about how to clone me and clone you.
What parts of you are we cloning?
All the good parts.
Okay, this is the good parts. No, it's good. So we are talking about cloning this week, but not like in the sheep kind. We're talking about cloning systems in your business.
Yeah, so I'm hearing in my mastermind group, the My Wisdom Board, and with some of the classes and workshops that I've been doing with small business owners, they keep saying things like, I want to clone myself. Like, I can't bring anybody else on. They don't know how to do what I do. And they need to figure out how to delegate, but also to train the people they're delegating. And again, I connect with a lot of small micro business owners. All right.
Yeah.
So these are people who are one person, two people. They're wearing all of the hats, which is, in the 20 years we've been here, we've been running the 22 years we've been running the business. That's where we've been,
Yeah. And
you used to say that we were operating as a bush and not an organizational chart.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think that, one thing to kind of keep in mind is, as a business owner, you're never going to be able to perfectly clone yourself.
No.
Nobody is ever going to work at the same rate or the same passion that you have constantly.
Right. And so 5 years ago, we decided that we were going to go on a 2-week vacation.
Correct.
And so I had a year to figure out how I was going to be out of the office because, like I said, I was the bush. Everything ran through me. It was the hub of the wheel. And I know that if we were going to grow, we needed help and we needed to untether me from the day to day. That was at that time kind of like the epiphany we had this past year with how to change the sales system, which is going to help get you out of the hub of the sales thing. Mm-hmm. So I found a book called Clockwork by Mike Michalowicz and started listening to the Audible version and following along with the paperback.
And that book, then you had me listen to it as well. And that book really talks about creating, a method. It's a method. It's kind of like, how do I phrase it? It's a methodology to create systems and optimizing your business.
Yes. Yeah. So kind of as a summary of the things that I took from the book and that I started doing was I started to write down everything I did, right? So I made a Excel spreadsheet and I broke it out into categories because I was doing the marketing bucket, the bookkeeping bucket, the HR bucket, the owner bucket.
And it talks about, as you're doing that, deciding or looking at what are and I love this, what are the, 10, 100, and $1,000 tasks in your business.
Right.
What are you doing that's $1,000 tasks that you have to do because you're the business owner? And what are the $10 tasks that you're doing that really somebody else should be doing? Yeah.
And so for years we've had different examples of this workshop. When my dad was in the business, we talked about tracking everything for 2 weeks. So I started with a 2-week breakdown and I literally dumped in 15-minute increments everything I was doing so that I could get an idea of where I was spending my time. And if I was spending my time on valuable things that only I could do or time filler things that we could quickly train somebody else to do.
And then once you kind of did that, once you built and you kind of spent that 2 weeks or whatever it was, writing all of that down, how did you figure out where to start taking things? Like, where did you start going, hey, these are the things I need to get rid of first?
By looking at I coded everything 10, 100, and 1,000. And then I looked and I saw where were the common factors. And the most $10 factors I had was in admin and marketing execution thing.
Yeah, that was sort of like, that was the bottleneck, right? That was like, those were the things that were, hey, if I could get rid of these little $10 tasks, imagine how much more I can get into can get done how much more the funnel will flow.
So I started, thinking about how do I focus on those high impact areas and prioritizing the systems that I need to be working on there and documenting how I did the $10 tasks.
And what about, not that you do a ton of things, but what about some of the customer facing stuff that you were doing that needed to be done while you would be away or while you weren't there?
So we started to see, is there somebody in-house who could do that? Because at the time we did have one admin person, or was that something that I could outsource? Or how many of those things were we doing that I should bring somebody else in to do?
And I think we were able during that time to also figure out there were some parts of it that we could just automate. Like there were some emails and letters and things that were going out that we could just, we had our CRM system already would automate those for us.
Yeah, I was able to upgrade our CRM system to add in automatic emails. Again, we're talking 5 years ago. So for a low cost, I was able to create stuff one time and schedule it to go out.
So then once you kind of were able to create that list and figure these things out and figure out, hey, these are the things I really need to start getting off my plate. Did you just totally turn around and dump them all on somebody, or how did you handle that?
It took about 8 months, and then we hired somebody, and then we started the interview process to hire somebody. And in that 8 months, I started handwriting out the steps and then creating videos of the initial things that I thought I could take off my plate, and creating those standard operating procedures and then recording them. And then once we hired somebody, we started to make a list of the gaps.
Yeah, so you kind of started small. We gave our admin as they came on, we gave her some tasks. You were able to spread some tasks out to our existing bookkeeper that you had still been doing, but that she could start to take over. And then the biggest thing was we really dug in to organizing our SOPs. And I think, I don't know if you came up with this idea or if this was something you got from somebody. You can take credit if you want. But you created a Google Sheet that had listed all of these things that have to happen, like everything from how to send a letter out to how to create an estimate to all of these things that would be in a regular SOP manual. And I know a lot of companies, I was actually talking to somebody at a dinner event the other night. They were talking about the ISO 2000. ISO is a big operating procedure that these giant corporations use. And I remember I worked in the company back in the early 2000s that was ISO, and you had this giant binder, and you had to figure out, I had to do something. You had to go to the index and then look at page 7 or whatever. You came up with this idea. You created this Google Sheet with everything in it, broken out by departments, and then you did Loom videos for all of them.
Yeah, and I think I'm sure that I got that from Mike Michalowicz's book. But that's also how my brain works. I need things very detailed and clear. And so as I was looking for information to go back to, I just kind of sorted it by the way I was looking for it. And then anytime a team member asked me a question, I wrote the question down, and then I looked to see, do I have it in the written manual or do I have it as a video? And added that to my to-do list of things to do.
And I'll be honest, it's not 100% done.
No, it's a living, breathing thing.
Yeah, and every time something changes, we go through, and you actually have in there, I'm looking at it right now, we've got over 150 videos in there.
Oh, that's a lot. Wow.
Yeah, we got over 150 videos. You started back in 2021. Some of them are still videos that are from 2021 that probably need to be updated, or maybe not. We'd have to go back and look. But you have it by, the bookkeeping, finances. You have kind of a general section, which is just how to use Zoom, or how to sign into the internet, or how to reset the server. You have marketing, we have some production ones, and we have sales, and then just some general onboarding and training. And all of these videos, any of our team, this document is shared with all of them, and any of our team at any point can go in, click on this document, and watch one of those videos. You do a bunch, I do some. We've had some of our other team members do videos.
Yeah, and it's about using our resources wisely, right? I often have them watch the video before they talk to me during onboarding, so they have a sense of what's happening. And then if they come back to me afterwards and are asking me the same question over and over again, or the same question that's already documented, I direct them back to the video. Go rewatch the video and then come talk to me.
So it's great. It's super neat.
And I have to say, when we onboarded, so we've have changed admins since we hired that first person, we're on the second person. Onboarding the second person was so much easier. Of course, we did our regular onboarding, but she was able to go look at videos. If she had a question, she always rewatched it. So it was good for her because she didn't feel like she was bothering me. It was great for me because it freed up my time. And she's been able to self-train, but also know that I'm there to support her.
So anyways, back on track.
Sorry.
I just think that's something that we do, that we started doing 4 years ago, that is really helpful to our team members and to us as business owners and operators to hand off and clone ourselves and give people the an easy way to not have to come and ask us for everything. How do I ...
Yeah, and what I think is interesting is, since I've been doing it, I'm a huge fan of it and proponent of it, and I keep telling people to do it, and they keep not doing it and still complaining about it. Well, it takes too long. I think you and I timed it, and on average, it added 2 to 5 minutes to actually doing it the one time.
Yeah, and what we kind of started, at least from my department, sales department, what I really started doing is I'm okay, I need to create this estimate. Let me record myself doing it.
Yeah.
And and I would say the average time of these videos that are, that we've recorded on Loom and share, the average time is probably somewhere between like 8 and 12 minutes.
Yeah, that's about what I was going to say.
They're not really long videos. It's not like you have to sit there for a half hour and watch something. It's 8 or 12 minutes of a video. Here's how we do this process. So hit us up on our website, marriedwithabusiness.net. If you'd like more information or talk to us more about that, we can definitely share. But going from the binder standard, the SOP binder, where we would tell people, well, go look in the binder. Now we're just like, go to the Google Sheet, watch the video.
Yeah, and I always, in the video, talk about the why. Why are we doing this? What's the goal of the video? What do we need to do? What materials are they going to need? What is the desired outcome at the end of the process? I point out points along the way of things that they're going to need information on. And then I also talk about who's responsible for things if we need other information, if it's not just a simple action item.
Yeah. So, and then, after you've done all of this, review, you've got to continue to review it. You've got to go back. You've got to look at it. You've got to make revisions over time, because we're a small business and we're a growing business. So things are constantly changing. How we do something changes quite frequently in our business.
Yeah. And I always, after I do something, I have other people red team it. Can you watch this? Does this make sense? Do you understand what I'm even saying? Because we know what we're doing so well. Sometimes we don't clearly explain it.
And I think, not to harp on the video thing, I think the good thing about the video thing is that we are able to let our team member watch it and go through it a couple times. And if they're still having problems, then come and get me and I'll help you with it. I think a lot of times when somebody comes to you and asks, and this is everybody, I always made fun of your father because he was notorious for this, but like, I think I'm like this. I think everybody's like this. When somebody comes to you and says, hey, how do I do this? You want to sit down at their computer and use their keyboard and move their mouse and do it for them and expect them to watch and learn. I think sometimes it's easier if they have that video and they watch it and they can stop it and go back 10 seconds and watch that part again. I think it helps them learn it. And then if they're still confused by it, come to you and ask you the questions.
Right. It takes out I'll just do it myself. It's just easier to do myself.
Right.
And it gives them the power to be in charge, to own it themselves. I'm getting ready right now. My admin and I sat down and talked about things that are on my plate that really are, again, new $10 tasks. So I've identified a couple, and there's no reason she can't be doing these things. There's no reason she can't be setting up the coffee connections for our director of production every month. I just need to tell her how to do it. But again, I keep thinking it's just easier for me to do it. But I could have taken that off my plate 12 months ago.
Right.
So kind of going back and remembering the baby steps. Pick the one thing at a time that, I keep a running list. So if you look in our list, there's more topics than videos. So just one thing at a time, I go in and I pick something and I do it. But you've got to block off the time to work on it regularly. And when I got started, that was the hard time, the hard point. Like I needed an hour a week or an hour or two. I would set a goal. I would say, I need to do 2 in the next month.
Yeah, but I think it's a good point. Like every time something comes into your head and you're like, man, I really should have, my admin doing this, or my estimator should really be doing this and I shouldn't be doing it. Even if you're not ready to move that on to them, or you need time to prepare yourself to do that, put it in the list. Put it in the list. Say, hey, sending these letters, I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be going to the bank, whatever it might be. Put it in the list and then plan on making the SOP for it down the road.
Ooh, going to the bank was a hard one to give up.
Yeah, that was a hard one for you to give up. And remember, the other thing is like, keep it simple. And I think that's one way why the videos make it so much better than the written document. Because I think when you write a document, you want to put all of these details in and you keep going back and adding. And all of a sudden you get this 5-page document about how to go to the bank. And I think when you can do a 4-minute video, like the person's going to watch that better. And this is also part of like the world that we live in now, right? We find that our younger employees, our millennials and our Gen X or Gen Z, whatever they are now, Gen Zers.
I think there's a new one.
Yeah, I think there's a new one now too. But they all have learned by watching videos on the internet. They've all learned from YouTube.
Well, we always say, I learn best when I'm doing it. And when you're mimicking it and through a video, you're almost doing it.
Yeah, so I think that's the other thing. It's just try to keep it simple, and make sure that you're not making it too complicated. It doesn't need to be a 30-minute video about how to go to the bank. It can be a 3-minute video.
And be clear, like make sure that the video, the document is easy to understand and follow. I sometimes, because of the way my brain works, like, yes, I may have had like some 5-page, like 7A, look at the right side of the screen. 7B, there's a button. I get it.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to be clear, but then there's like sometimes too much.
You had the tendency to get very detailed in your bullet pointed notes. And it just doesn't work for everybody. And that's the thing you have to remember. The other thing you mentioned this earlier, but involve the key people that are going to be involved in this, right? Get input from other people, first of all. So like if we're creating a video or we've done something, we'll send it to a couple of team members and be like, watch this and see if it makes sense. So I like how you called it a red team. We have some people that do that. The other thing is if it's a task that they do, they should
be making the video.
They should be creating the video.
You're right.
So
I'm bad about that too.
We're both very bad about that. There's some videos that we need to be better about having. Hey, our admin person, and I think a lot of it too is like you and I, because we do this kind of stuff. Because we speak out in public, I think it's comfortable for you and I to do a video, and I think for a lot of people it's not. So I think helping them through that is going to be part of it.
So that's a question. So how do you help somebody through that who is anxious about making a video? One of the things with Loom, you can be on video, you cannot be on video, and we have somebody in our office who really needs to be making a few of these. It keeps being a goal, it keeps being a deadline, it keeps not happening. How can I work that person through to get it done?
Well, I think the first thing is like, and the ones that you and I do, we always have like our little video of us down in the corner of the screen. I think that you tell them, hey, they don't have to do that. I also think you have to remind them that this is for the betterment of the company. It's to make your job easier. So if something does happen, or we do give you something else, and something comes off of your list, that you don't have to be teaching people constantly. And I think you have to just remind people how good they are. Like none of us are like you're able to do it. Everybody is good enough to do it.
We judge ourselves more than anybody else judges us.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So I mean, just remember that. Like I think those people need to be involved, and I think it helps. It helps your team culture. I think that if you have the other people involved, it'll help them feel more part of your team. It'll help them own it'll have more ownership in their role in their part of the company. And I think it has the people that are watching the video, if it's a new employee or if somebody onboarding or if it's somebody trying to grow in your company, it'll make them feel like, hey, this company cares about all of our input and our abilities. Like they let everybody do the videos. It's not just them telling us how to do things. It's everybody being involved.
And Craig, what process have we captured that you think has made the biggest impact?
Since 2020, which is when we started really diving into this and got into Clockwork and doing this, I think like 90% of what you were doing then, you're not doing now. And so I think a lot of those admin-y kind of roles that we were doing from a marketing standpoint, from client communications, so anything from sending out emails from our general inbox, letters and mailings, all of that has come off. I know bookkeeping, bookkeeping's been the harder thing for you to sort of finance. The finances has been a little harder, which I think is, as a business owner, you need to be a little more. But I think the biggest impact has been like just those sort of like mundane, not that they're mundane, but like those tasks
important, but not urgent.
Yeah. Those $10 and some $100 tasks that, have come off of your desk. Like you don't really deal with leads and phone calls or all of that's come off of you in the past 5-6 years. The paperwork side of it, all of that has really been sort of, the admin stuff has really been sort of throttled off of you.
Yeah, I think I've really moved from tactical to from implementer to visionary stuff. I keep saying, I feel like all I've done today is talk to people. I've mentored people. I've coached people.
Right.
I've talked, connected and networked with people. So I think I'm doing a lot more of that.
So if you get a chance, check it out. Clockwork by Mike Michalowicz. Design your business to run itself. That's sort of like the tagline with the book. And so it really has done a lot for us in organizing how we have taken a lot of those tasks off of us. So
I've said before, I'm very tactical. I need checklists, and I feel like this was a great book for somebody who needed a plan to get started.
Yeah, so check it out. It's available, by the way, on audible.com. Allison, free 30 days of Audible on us. All you have to do is go to audibletrial.com/bizmarried. You get a free 30 days of Audible, and you can listen to Clockwork. You can listen to Who Moved My Cheese that we talked about in a previous episode. There's tons of stuff you can listen to. So check that out, audibletrial.com/bizmarried. Also, check out our website, marriedwithabusiness.net. Allison, there's a lot of information about us, who we are. You can, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, you can go there and fill that out. There's a lot of cool things on there.
Yeah, there's so much great information, and we're constantly adding new stuff. There's past episodes, there's resources, there's ways to connect with us.
Soon, maybe some family Disney pictures. Maybe. This will be an interesting arc in the podcast over the next few months of listening to us plan for the Disney trip, us go on the Disney trip, and sort of what happens afterwards. The boys are super, they think that you're going to fall in love with Disney and want to go every year and become a Disney adult.
Maybe, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. It'll be an interesting sort of turn over the next couple of months. But everybody, don't forget, find us online. Look for us, marriedwithabusiness.net. You can also find us on Instagram and Facebook at BizMarried, or just search Married with a Business. You'll be able to find us. And thanks for listening. We appreciate all the feedback. We appreciate you liking and sharing us online. And remember, not only is it important to focus on your business, but also your marriage, because we're married with a business.